Don't you know I would never let that happen? That there is nothing in the world more important to me than you. Don't you know that?
This movie has incredibly memorable dialogue, but for me, this movie's best in its bits of silence. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Connor, and I'm just a regular guy with no formal experience trying to explain just why I love movies. And in this video, I want to break down why I think eye contact is the most important element of the plot in 2014's Whiplash. Although I think Whiplash may go unrecognized by most of my viewers, let me start out by saying this movie is terrific. And although not family friendly at all, it offers an interesting outlook on the journey to success.
I'm upset.
Louder!
I'm upset.
Louder!
I'm upset.
For those who don't know, this movie details Neiman's journey from a wannabe drummer to supposedly being on the path to greatness thanks to his teacher, Mr. Fletcher. Now, point blank, you may or may not agree with Mr. Fletcher's tactics. Fletcher's mentality is summed up in a conversation near the end when he says,
"There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job."
do you get more out of people for doing more of a positive reinforcement kind of thing? Or does greatness really only come from struggle? I think the movie paints a beautiful picture of how talent can so easily be snuffed out, whether it's due to doubt or distractions. Any number of things can make somebody stumble who could be on the path to greatness and just doesn't reach the finish line for whatever reason.
I want to be one of the greats.
And I would stop you from doing that.
Yeah.
What I want to key in on is how Damien Chazelle uses eye contact to tell a story within a story. Like I said in the beginning, the dialogue in this movie is superb. J.K. Simmons is despicable and hilarious at the same time. But if we are here to see Neiman's journey, we should start at this conversation. On a first date with this girl he picks up at a movie theater, she makes the observation that he's always looking down.
You know, every time I saw you at the theater, your eyes were glued to the floor.
Really? My dad says that I have trouble making eye contact.
And in retrospect, he does look down quite often. And it's only when he feels secure in what he's doing, when he's really confident, it's when he starts to look up and look somebody in the eyes. A side note, we even see a moment later in the film where another student fails to meet Fletcher's eye while he's humiliating him, and this is called out as weakness.
Do you think you're out of tune? There's no Mars bar down there. What are you looking at? Look up here, look at me.
So then I found it interesting that as the movie progresses, you can see Neiman's confidence rise despite Fletcher's obstacles. Again, Fletcher's methods mean he refuses to make the path to success easy. He instead gives Neiman moments of calm before pulling the chair out from under him time and time again. So in the beginning when this happens and Neiman is being berated, he really has trouble looking Fletcher in the eye. Fast forward later in the film, when Neiman feels secure in his abilities, not only can he look Fletcher in the eye, but he is able to verbally disagree with him.
Look, I can use Ryan sticks.
Neiman, you lost the part.
No, I didn't. Look, you can't do this.
Can't?
Yeah.
In no way is there this hierarchy anymore. He feels comfortable, I'm comfortable in myself. I know what I can accomplish. So you can't pull the chair out from under me anymore. I know what my abilities are. And so this natural character progression of seeing Neiman grow in confidence is not just told through the story as a whole, but it's also told through these stories of eye contact, where, again, in the beginning, he's always looking down, and then as the film progresses, his gaze starts to travel up. And this leads us to the film's end, where Neiman puts on the best drum solo in film history. But I want to hone in on 3 specific shots, because since the first time I watched this movie, they've always stood out to me as memorable. First, we see Neiman's father off stage looking on in amazement at his son's creation that he's just put on this performance. The whole movie, Neiman's father has not understood why Neiman keeps going back to Fletcher and indirectly fails to support his dream. Fletcher's berating him, abusing him, gets Neiman essentially kicked out of school because of this abuse. Even Fletcher, with a past student, his abuse caused a former student to commit suicide. And so the father is very protective, and he's like, this, it's not worth it. Why are you doing all this?
Why would you do this to me?
Do you think that I would let him put my son through hell and then just walk away scot-free?
In some ways, he's not really willing to understand why Neiman is pursuing this and trying to push through the abuse. But in this moment of silence, you get all you need out of his character. You get this look of kind of understanding and being like, okay, so this is what he's been pursuing. He can actually do this. But then I do get a hint of fear at the same time. You see, earlier in the film, Neiman's father is in a discussion with him, and they talk about, success. And his father essentially says,
Dying broke and drunk and full of heroin at the age of 34 is not exactly my idea of success.
I'd rather die drunk, broke at 34 and have people at a dinner table talk about me than live to be rich and sober at 90 and nobody remember who I was.
And I really believe in this moment, he's in awe of his child, but he's also nervous because he's unsure what this could mean. Or maybe, in fact, he is sure of what this could mean for his son's future. And so I actually, of the three shots, that's the one that actually gets me to tear up a little whenever I see it, because the dad isn't really in the movie a lot, but it's such an impactful moment, even though it's just one single shot, and I just love it. Then we get the final exchange of extreme close-ups of both Neiman and Fletcher as the movie is about to close, just as he's about to finish his solo. And he just sort of sits back and the camera pushes into his face and he's looking up at Fletcher, and you can see all you need out of anything. It's like a direct line to his soul, basically. You're just looking at his eyes and you know what he wants. He wants that approval. He wants that good job from Fletcher. And just in those eyes, you can just be like, hey, he needs this, he wants it, he feels like he deserves it, he feels like he's earned it finally. And it goes back to Fletcher. And at first, it's nothing. It's, business as usual. But then just for a second, you can start to see his eyes start to close in, and and you can see the smile start to grow on Fletcher's face. And it pans back to Neiman, and a smile starts to grow in his face. And they both share this really distinct moment where this whole movie has just been marked by just pain and misfortune and just pure struggle. And they've both, in a way, earned this moment of, pride, admiration, and success. And then Neiman lets out this gasp of relief, and they both go back into business. What truly sticks out to me about this scene is that it's just so short, yet it's so distinct, because I don't think I've seen anything else like this. I can't think of another movie that involves such loud and violent behavior, and yet chooses an exchange of not just silence, but like minimal expressions to portray the ending to a film and a character's development. And again, you can think what you will. I personally have had many different kinds of teachers. I've had the teacher who doesn't want to say good job, who thinks, you just got to keep pushing, and through struggle you're going to persevere, and I'm going to show you something through the struggle. And in this movie, I guess it's sort of showing the double edge of that, right? So yes, Neiman does succeed in the end, and he gets that approval, but to what end? Where does he go from here? What's his life actually going to be like? It's a short, sweet moment, but it does leave you kind of hanging like, okay, but how does this continue? Like, it leaves a lot of questions, and not in a bad way, but I think in a thought-provoking kind of way. I really, really adore this movie and its usage of dramatic silence. Well, that's all I got for this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think about the movie Whiplash? Have you seen it? Will you see it? Be sure to like, subscribe. Thank you all for tuning in. So long.